Hey there, and welcome. We're going to dive into something really powerful today: how to build a life that actually feels like yours. We'll talk about finding your personal North Star by getting clear on your core values. So let's jump right in. All right, first up, let's talk about something that I think a lot of us feel but maybe don't have a name for. It's that feeling of just being on autopilot, just kind of going through the motions every day. Seriously, have you ever had that feeling? Like you look at your life and on paper, everything seems fine. It looks good. But deep down, it just doesn't feel like your life. It's this quiet, nagging feeling that something's just not right. So, where does that feeling come from? Well, a lot of the time, it's because we're living based on what we think we should do. Pressure from our family, from society, what our friends are doing. We're making choices based on all these external expectations instead of what actually feels right to us. And the problem with that? It creates this constant low-grade stress. It's a recipe for burnout and feeling dissatisfied, even if you're hitting all the milestones you're supposed to hit.
Okay, so what's the alternative? How do we fix this? It's all about making a shift away from all that outside noise and toward your own internal guidance system. Think of it as your internal compass.
And what's at the heart of that compass? Your personal values. Now, these aren't just fluffy, nice-to-have ideas. No, these are the deep-down beliefs that really shape who you are. They're the things you stand for, like honesty or creativity or family. And here's the magic. When your life lines up with these values, that's when you start to feel authentic and, well, right. Now, this is super important to get. Values are not the same thing as goals. A goal is a destination, right? Like, get a promotion. You can check it off the list. But a value, that's a direction. A value like honesty or growth isn't something you achieve, it's how you choose to travel. It's the why behind everything you do. So, when you get really clear on your values, they literally become that internal compass. They guide you. Whenever you're at a crossroads, you can just ask yourself, okay, which path here moves me closer to my North Star? That simple question can cut through so much confusion and help you build a life that actually feels meaningful to you. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually figure out what your core values are? Let's get practical and break down the process. All right, just take a look at some of these on the screen. These are some really common values. I'll read a few out: authenticity, creativity, family, growth, honesty, independence, justice, security. As you hear those, just notice if any of them give you a little spark, that little gut feeling that says, yeah, that's me. And the process for figuring this out can be really straightforward. Here's a simple 3-step way to do it. First, just look at a big list of values and circle or note down every single one that resonates with you. Don't overthink it. Step 2, take that big list and whittle it down to your top 10, the absolute must-haves. And then step 3, rank them. Put those 10 in order from most important to least. This last step is tough, but it's what really gives you clarity. So you've got your top 10 list, which is awesome. But what the research tells us is that most people can only really focus on about 5 to 7 core values at once. Think of these as your non-negotiables. They're the brightest stars in your personal constellation. Okay, so once you have your list of those 5 to 7 core values, the real work begins. Now it's time to see how your actual day-to-day life stacks up against them. Yeah, it's kind of like a reality check. And here's a great way to do that. You can do a little life alignment assessment. Just take the big areas of your life, your career, your relationships, your health, and for each one, rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 means not aligned at all, 5 means perfectly aligned with your values. And then, and this is the important part, you get specific. For each area, which values are you actually living out, and which ones are you kind of ignoring? Let's make this real with an example. So imagine someone rates their career and work a 2, a pretty low score. And when they dig into why, they realize, okay, my job gives me security and I have responsibilities, so I'm honoring those values. But it's totally crushing their values of creativity, growth, and freedom. That gap right there, that's the source of the pain. That's where that stuck feeling comes from. And just seeing that clearly is the first huge step to making a change. So look, this whole process of finding your values and checking your alignment, it's not about beating yourself up or feeling guilty, not at all. It's about giving yourself the power to start living more authentically, one small choice at a time. I absolutely love this quote. Discovering your values isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. Think about that for a second. This whole thing isn't about a total makeover. It's more like an excavation. You're just chipping away all the shoulds and expectations to get back to the real you that's been there all along. And that brings us back to that key idea, right? Values are a direction, not a destination. So living this way isn't a one-and-done thing. It's a practice. It's something you do every day. And hey, as you grow and your life changes, your values might shift a little, and that's okay. The whole point is just to keep checking in with yourself and gently guiding yourself back to what feels true for you now. So I want to leave you with a question to chew on. You don't need to overhaul your entire life tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. It all starts with one small step. So my question for you is this. What is one small choice you can make today to honor what truly matters to you? Just one little thing to point you a tiny bit closer to your North Star.